guys, welcome back to my YouTube and welcome back to another video. I am now over a week into my reverse and I feel so good. I have been 100% on and I feel so good. I just got a food increase yesterday, so if you saw my last video, I did a full day of eating and I got a food increase midday. Today marks my first day, well yesterday was my first day, but this feels like the real first day of 250 grams of carbs a day, 52 grams of fat. Love carbs and I love fats. Protein is cool because it builds muscles, but I'm obsessed with doing macros. I'm about to eat my breakfast and then I need to get my workday started, so we'll catch up in a little bit. I just wanted to say this reverse, one for the books. I have a problem. Keep telling myself that I'm gonna stop drinking these every day and then I keep drinking one every single day. I can't help myself. They are so good. Here's the work setup. I have my walking pad here that I'm gonna start getting steps on. I actually have to take my Apple Watch and put it onto my ankle because when I'm working with my hands up here on my computer, it's not tracking steps, obviously. So watch band goes on the ankle and then I get to walking. Hello, it's a few hours later. Actually, quite a few hours later. Work took me a while today, but that is okay. Very blessed and fortunate to get to do what I get to do. Coaching application, by the way, is in the description below. If you want to work with me, you can apply to work with me and I'll get back to you as fast as I can. Obviously, I got a coffee here. Need a little bit more caffeination. I am about to eat my pre-workout meal. I had another meal between my first and pre-workout meal. I had a nice little salmon meal. It wasn't little, it was pretty big. But I want to go over a Q&A now. I had posted on my broadcast channel on Instagram asking you guys to ask me questions about post-show, my season, everything. And honestly, I got a lot of really good questions. So we'll go through some of them. Okay, let's start from the top. How do you time your meals? When do you prioritize high carb meals or higher protein? So I time my meals, I space them out at least 2 hours apart throughout the day. Now, it's not always perfectly 2 hours. When I was eating 6 meals, it was pretty much every 2 hours, unless, like my training block period was longer than 2 hours, which typically it is. I try to keep my protein pretty level throughout the day, so there's no meals that have like significantly higher protein, but I do prioritize higher carb meals pre and post training. Pre-training, I like to put a little bit of fats in with the carbs because this will elongate the digestive time and make it stick a little bit longer. Post-workout meal, I want those carbs to hit me quicker, so I don't put fats in that meal. It's just lean protein and carbs. My breakfast, I like to have very balanced. I like to put a little bit more fats in there to keep me satiated for longer in the morning, like while I'm working and stuff. And then now that I'm on macros, like towards the end of the night, I kind of just fill it in, but there's pretty much every macro: protein, fat, and carbs in my last meal throughout the day. So everything I try to keep balanced, but I like to prioritize more carbs pre and post training. Any idea how long my off season will be and my judges' feedback for my pro debut? So I am very happy that I did my pro debut. My feedback at Universe was just to grow my glutes to balance everything out. Okay, then I leaned out more so you can really see what's underneath, and my feedback was to grow everything and my balance is great. Mind you, both of these feedbacks were from Tyler, the head judge. I had obviously gotten visible feedback myself on how small I am compared to pros. So that brings us into how long my off season will be, and I'm telling you, like, I'm not stepping on stage until minimum end of 2027. I want to take a long time to grow. Bodybuilding is not an instant gratification sport. If you think it is, maybe it's not the sport for you. You have to be very patient in bodybuilding to be successful in it, in my opinion, and you need to be willing to take time to grow. That's just how it is. Any advice for people who want to start competing, what to look for, train for, etc.? If you are looking to compete, my advice is to obviously figure out what division you want to compete in. Look at your body shape. If you want to ask like coaches and things like that what they think is best for you, you can do that, but my advice is to also look at competitors in season and off season. You are going to be living most of your life in your off season look. For me, right, like I feel like when I first started, I definitely could have pushed for wellness if I had wanted to. I was very quad dominant, since then have balanced that out. But I personally liked the look of bikini year round more than wellness for my body. Don't get me wrong, I love wellness. It is so impressive, but I just personally didn't want that much muscle on my lower half. Again, personal preference. Also start looking for a coach. You need to take into account for that you need to be working with a coach for a very good amount of time before you start a prep. You need to build with a coach. You need to get your metabolism in check with a coach and then be in that routine and get used to that routine. It is so, so important to do so before you start prepping and competing. So look for a coach that suits you best. Coaches are not one size fits all for the most part. So you need to find somebody that clicks with you and that shares a good mindset with you and that you think would get you to the point that you want to be at or that you would work work really well with. Pieces of advice for those entering their first reverse post-show. Anything you wish you had done differently after previous shows? Yes, so much advice. This has been my first reverse where I decided to start tracking macros instead of a meal plan. I have always been on a meal plan. If during your season you were on a meal plan, you know the structure that you need in your reverse, right? You kind of can gauge, even if it's your first reverse, what your food would be in your reverse. So if you wanted to switch over to macros, communicate with that with your coach. Right now, I love macros because I can have some flexibility. I'm still eating all whole foods though, so it's not like I'm just throwing in cookies and stuff like that. I'm keeping it very level. And honestly, that has helped me be really successful thus far in this reverse, and I'm very proud of myself for that. So communication is key with your coach. Think about your reverse before you start reversing, and think about what you could implement that would be the best for you. Maybe it's starting to track steps if you've never tracked steps before, and telling your coach that you want, to implement maybe more steps in place of cardio if possible. Changing over to macros, or maybe changing over to meal plan from macros if you think that will help. Again, communication is key, especially if you feel like you slip up on your reverse. Maybe you binged, maybe you don't know what to do after you binge. Communication. Things that I wish I had done differently is honestly stick to my reverse more. I've always stuck to my reverse, but I was never as on point as I am now. And I'm noticing that my body composition, as I slowly am getting unlean, is still in a great spot. Like, I have never looked this good post-show, and my metabolism has never picked up this well post-show. I feel like I've always kind of crashed it a bit because I didn't stick to my reverse super well. And right now, like, my metabolism is picking up. I'm eating more food and my body's still burning through it, and that's good. Love that. That's gonna lead me into a really good growing season. How do you manage relationships, romantic and platonic, during prep, making sure you don't shut anybody out completely? Once again, the answer is communication. In a romantic relationship, obviously things change, right? You maybe can't go on dates. Maybe your sex drive is lower, blunt, but that's what it is on prep. You need to be able to effectively communicate how you are feeling, and obviously come to agreements with people. Maybe if you even want to hang out with friends and your friends want to go get lunch, maybe you're like, hey, like, I'll come sit with you guys during lunch, but would you want to go to lunch and do pottery painting? I don't really know. I'm trying to think of something. And that's how you can kind of communicate to keep friendships alive. You're gonna want to be a hermit, but do not be a hermit. Even if you do want to be a hermit and you need that time to actually rest, like you literally need that time to rest, communicate that with your friends. If you just decide to shut everybody out, that's on you. That's your mistake, and that's not your friend's mistake. It's not that they're not understanding where you're at, it's that you literally didn't communicate how you're feeling. And I'm a big advocate for, like, if you want to maintain friendships, you need to communicate. What is my biggest takeaway from this past season? My biggest takeaway, and I've talked about this a lot, is life does not stop when you are on prep. If you watched my prep vlogs, you saw I have gone through a lot personally during this prep. I was dealing with my cat that had got very sick, and then she ended up passing a week before my show. That just proves that life doesn't stop. You can't just put everything on pause because of prep. You have to continue to work hard. You probably have a job. You have to continue showing up to your jobs. If you're a student, you have to continue showing up to school. If you have friendships or relationships, you need to continue to show up to those friendships or relationships. And you can't expect all of these things to go perfectly just because you're on prep. It will not always happen that way. Life doesn't stop moving. So that's pretty much my biggest takeaway, learning how to stay level when mentally things are all over the place. What camera is best to get started with YouTube, and that you could also use for gym content? So right now I'm filming on a Canon PowerShot V1 point and shoot camera. I love it. I love the wide angle lens. A lot of people really like this DJI Osmo Pocket. Both of these you can film vlogs and in the gym with. I really like this camera better because I just like the camera aspect more, and I think the audio is a little bit better, but don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure the audio is still great on this too. But I'm gonna be honest, you could just start on your phone. You don't need a fancy camera to start vlogging. How do you plan your meals while on macros? Do you plan the day ahead or just plan meals as the day goes on? I'm not gonna fully explain this. I want you guys to watch my last full day of eating so you can understand how I go about this. What are you excited for most this improvement season? I'm honestly the most excited for getting a training plan from Corey, my trainer. Kyle is still my main coach. I just work with a trainer that does specifically my training plans, and his name is Corey. I haven't had a trainer like this in an off season before, so I'm just so excited to see how being on a structured training plan like this will really improve my physique. Like, I'm very excited for this. What mental challenges do you face when on prep that affects you when you're off prep as well? I guess body dysmorphia. That can affect both in and off of prep. On prep, sometimes I think I'm too small, too lean, too depleted. Off season, sometimes I think I'm too big, put on too much body fat, and can't limbo that. And how I combat it, this off season, I'm combating it by being more on plan, right? Following my macros. In prep, you kind of just have to suck it up. You can communicate with your coach on how you feel, but it is what it is. Do you have any tips on increasing your energy levels when at a low body weight? I just want to do fun things and gain weight. Well, if you want to do fun things and gain weight and you're at a low weight, that sounds like you need to be in a surplus, or you need to increase your caloric intake. Increasing energy levels, I mean, there's not much you can do if you're in a deficit. Truly, there's not. Make sure that you're getting your sleep in. You could for sure utilize caffeine, but you also need to take into account where you can't consume too much caffeine. I always limited to 2 caffeinated beverages per day in prep and off season. But adequate rest, good recovery, good sleep, and not being in a deficit too long. Is it possible to do a show when in college? Advice for lifestyle/prep in dorms and dining hall. I'm gonna be honest. I personally don't think you should be prepping if you're eating dining hall food. I know that might be a hot take. I also personally never had experience really with dining hall food other than when I went to go visit my friends at school. I would wait until maybe you're living in like an off-campus apartment or an apartment with like a mini kitchen or something at school where you can get your own groceries, because IMO, it's very important to understand how your food is being cooked and not being cooked in oils and being able to adequately measure out food. If you are lifestyle though and utilizing a dining hall, I have had clients that have done this before. I always tell them, grab a plate with a bunch of things. You can kind of eyeball it and you can measure it when you get back to your table. It's like grab grilled chicken, grab rice, vegetables, and then to measure it out, bring a food scale with you to the dining hall, get 2 plates, put 1 plate on the food scale, measure food on food scale. That's how you can do it, right? And I think it's best to track macros when doing that in a dining hall. What's my biggest advice to a first-time competitor? Make sure you're having fun, understand that it's going to be hard and that you signed up for this. Practice effective communication with your coach. Think about your reverse before it starts. Set goals for yourself, but set the expectation to have fun at your show. Don't put so much pressure on yourself that it ruins the show for you. What necessities do you bring with you to show day? Instead of speaking all of them out, here's this lovely list that I sent to all of my athletes to bring with them on their show day. How long do I plan to stay in bodybuilding? Have Aunt and I talked about starting a family? Obviously not soon. So I plan to stay in bodybuilding as long as I want. You do not need to stop bodybuilding when you have kids. Obviously you need to stop for a period of time. It is actually a goal of mine that after I have kids, whenever that is, to keep competing and get on stage again, because I love it and it's possible. A good example, Amy Delgado, she's a mom and she's an Olympian. And she's a top level Olympian. So yes, it is very well possible to do so. And I don't think we would start a family until like I'm closer to 30 years old. I'm 24 right now, about to be 25. Is there anything I wish I did differently when I started competing? Honestly, no. Every experience led me to where I am today. Do I have long-term goals for my health? Is it something that you're planning now or have to fix later after we stop bodybuilding? Long-term goals for my health is to be healthy. There's really nothing that I have to like fix in my off seasons. What I have to fix right now, obviously, is my metabolism that I down-regulated and making sure that my female hormones are level after dieting like that, but I'm healthy. That I know of. I have doctor's appointments coming up soon, regular checkup stuff. What or who is your why in regards to bodybuilding? My why is definitely to keep that competitive edge that I had when I was a gymnast. I feel like that's why I started bodybuilding, because I realized that I could compete in something that is a hobby, kind of like gymnastics was growing up, and also gives me really good structure for my days. I don't think I necessarily have a who, but I do have a why, and it's just because I love the lifestyle. But I do look up to a lot of people in the bodybuilding space. Laura Lee, she's my queen. Amy, like I mentioned, she's a mom and she competes and I freaking love that. I looked up to Anthony, of course, when we had started dating. Saw that he was a bodybuilder, thought that was really cool. From the male side, Sebum, obvious one. Great business guy, great bodybuilder. But I feel like why I bodybuild is more so my why, not specifically a who. Leg and glute day staples for growth. Glute day, kickbacks, good mornings, RDLs, hip thrust, lunge, glute focus squat. I actually love a good hack squat too. That kind of encompassed everything. How far out from your first show should you start practicing posing? If you want to compete, start practicing now. It is never too soon to hire a posing coach. Posing does not come naturally to everybody, so it takes some people a lot of practice, and that is okay. It took me a ton of practice. Personally, for me, I practiced after every single one of my lifts. In my off season, I practice after 3 to 4 out of my 5 lifts throughout the week. I'm always practicing posing. There's always things I can improve on. What to do if you start doubting if you're worthy in the sport? In my opinion, it's really easy to doubt yourself in this sport. It's subjective for one, and two, you probably lose more than you win. That's how it is. You keep losing until you win. I easily could have started doubting myself when I got 6th at Junior Nationals this year, but I kept that spirit and grit in me alive, and 2 weeks later I won my pro card and I got 1st in my class. So not giving up on yourself is how you eliminate doubt. It is normal to doubt yourself. I doubted myself, I think, more this prep than I have any other prep before. I communicated that with my coach, of course. I communicated that with my partner. similar, but you just keep showing up, and that's how you handle it. And one day it will all be worth it when you keep showing up. And that is all of the questions that you guys had asked me. If you're not in my broadcast channel on my page, go join that. I actually want to start working on something so exciting. I had mentioned in my last video that I am doing a little bit of a revamp for my coaching, but aside from that, I also am going to be starting to work on like a fitness challenge app that's a lower ticket coaching kind of cost to you guys. It's not direct one-on-one coaching, but it is, we'll give you nutrition guidance. I'm gonna start working on that soon, which is really exciting. But I'm gonna finish off my coffee. We're about to leave for the gym. I'm gonna get dressed, make my pre-workout, and then we're going to hit delts and arms. Guys, this is so exciting. I have not been able to like have grit when training delts, and we're gonna do that today. You wanna know why? Because for me to compete with these women, I gotta grow. And I gotta grow everything, but that is so exciting. When I got told I had to grow everything, I was like, fuck yeah. Bag is in hand, pre-workout meal in hand, and we're taking it on the road. New gym, new gym. We are trying out Derek Lunsford's gym in St. Pete. It was like a good hour drive, but every once in a while it'll definitely be worth it to come here because the gym is incredible.
A place in the city, a chair and a bed. I cover up all the mirrors, I can't see myself yet. I wear smoke like a wedding veil, make a meal I won't eat, step out into the street alone in a seat. It comes over me, oh, I'm missing you. Yeah, I'm missing you. And all the things we used to do. MDMA in the back garden, blow our pupils up. We kissed for hours straight, but baby, what was that? I remember saying then, this is the best cigarette of my life. Well, I want you just like that. Into your hairs, we're in a sandstorm and it knocks me out. I didn't know then that you'd never be enough. Oh, since I was 17, I gave you everything. Now we wake from a dream. Well, baby, what was that? What was that? Baby, what was that? Do you know you're still with me when I'm out with my friends? I stare at their painted faces, they talk current affairs. You had to know this was happening. You weren't feeling my heat when in the blue light down, baby, so bright I face reality.
Workout is done. True Alli fashion. Post-workout meal in the car. Got some cream of rice and chicken. I am really tired. I will admit during that workout, I felt like I was in a daze. So exhausted. Been working so hard recently and I'm very proud of myself for that, but I'm tired and I'm gonna do some more work in the car. Post shower after the gym, got my cardio in, got my steps in. I only have one more meal to eat. We are on a good roll today. I'm now doing my nighttime skincare, which consists of the face wash I use in the shower, the Dermalogica microfoliant that I use on my skin almost every day, especially now that it's breaking out, my favorite eyelash serum, and my moisturizer. This Clear Stem moisturizer is literally my favorite thing ever. It's a little pricey. It's like $65, but I found that it is the best for my skin. It's lightweight, it is not too much for my skin, it gives a good hydration to my skin and a brightening effect. It has stem cells in here. And I also use their acne supplement, the Clear Stem acne supplement. Literally swear by that supplement. It helps me so much. Right now my face is having a phase, okay, she's breaking out a little bit. And that tends to happen from time to time, but the Clear Stem supplement literally saves my skin from horrible breakouts. And I lotion after every shower with this lotion. Favorite thing ever. I feel like most people know about the vanilla cashmere one, which also is really good. Typically I love vanilla, but this scent, so good. EOS really did their thing with this. Now the jammies are on and it is just about bedtime. I love this time of the night. Lately I have had trouble actually winding down for the night and not working literally right up until I go to sleep. Tonight I'm going to lay on the couch. I have one more meal to eat, which I'm actually gonna cook now. Then I'm simply going to relax. I feel like once I get into a work groove, it is so hard for me to get out of that work groove. I don't prioritize enough relaxation time. I had gotten my steps. I got everything that I need to get in today, other than a little bit more water in my last last meal, but that is it. I will catch you guys in my next video. My next video, by the way, this is gonna be a really good one for a lot of you that are reverse dieting and maybe you have like things going on after prep and you don't know how to handle that. I am going to Aruba for a bachelorette trip, which is so fun. And I'm gonna take you guys along with me because obviously I'm in my reverse and I am going to be sticking to my reverse when I am there. I am not a girl that drinks, so drinking really isn't gonna be something that I'm doing there anyway, but I'm obviously not gonna be in my normal routine, eating my normal foods, and I am going to show you guys how I am navigating that. I'm still gonna try to get in my training when I'm there. It's gonna be obviously in the resort gym, so it's not gonna be insanely good workouts. I'm still gonna be getting in my steps, still gonna be getting in my cardio, because I promised myself that I'm going to be sticking to this. And if I can do it, you guys can do it too. But that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Seriously, it means so much to me to have such a great audience to chat with. I feel like we're just besties. If you like this video, please make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. That is it for tonight. Love you all. Peace out.